Hi guys, good morning. This is Dan. Welcome to Engelgeist. For those of you that are new, welcome. For those of you that are returning, welcome back. And for those of you that support me over on Patreon, thank you so very much for your support. I greatly appreciate it. This is the daily collective reading for all signs, not corrective reading, collective reading for all signs. If it fits, if what I'm saying makes sense to you, please utilize it to the best of your ability. It is originally created for the 30th of January. It's the new weekly, so it'll be for the 30th through the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th of February. So each card will represent a day or two of the underpinning energy of the week, what kind of a week we might have ahead of us. It will show us a little bit of what we need to be aware of, what we're working with, what we can use to our advantage, what might be working to our disadvantage, that sort of thing. Some of you may experience all of these cards and even more things. Some of you may only experience one of these cards. You may have a different trajectory. Either way, just utilize the reading in the best way you know how. Don't allow the reading to replace your thoughts, intuitions, or decisions. Allow it to support and validate what you already know to be true for yourself, and make your decisions from your own free will. That is the purpose of this channel. What else? Beyond that, if you like the channel, please subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. It greatly helps me. Leave me a question or comment, and share the video out with your friends on your social media, that sort of thing, to help me get out there to the people that need to see these videos. And don't be so caught up with the date too. Like if you're on a day and a weekly video comes up and the whole reading makes sense to you for that day that you're in, take it. You know, I believe that Spirit, our own higher self, messages have ways of reaching us if we're open to them. So just being open and ready to receive when it comes is more of what this is about. But I do it daily. You know, I do a daily reading every day. So that's how it works for those of you that are new. All right, so let's see what the cards have in store for us this week. We're switching over the month soon. So we're going to be saying goodbye to the decks midway through and changing over, but that'll be exciting too. Okay, and here we go. So for the beginning of the week, we have the Star. She's my favorite card of the deck. I love her. Star is associated with Aquarian energy, right? We are actually in Aquarius season, which is very cool too. So to see her kicking off this week is kind of a nice omen, right? It seems very much in alignment. But what I love about the Star, just in general, is what she represents, in my opinion. In tarot, is she's the calm after the disruption of the Tower, which I believe last week's card was the Tower. And then we ended with the Five of Wands, which was, you know, a lot of disruption and just messiness, right? That's what Five of Wands can represent, like fighting, politics, whatever. The Star is sort of that peaceful, centered, quiet, subtle, gentle aspect of oneself that exists within all of us, right? Where it's a time of peace, it's a time of reflection, it's a time of understanding ourselves at maybe a deeper, more sweeter level, if that makes sense. There's a delicacy to the Star that I love. She's not like the moon or the sun, which is powerful in their own ways. She's subtly powerful. She's powerful in her subtleness of just being the star that she is, her own individual self. Does that make sense? So when I see the Star, I think about that kind of a moment. This could be about a moment of appreciating what we have right in front of us, what is within us. She's also associated with Aquarius, which very much is a collective sign. The sign is associated with the greater like consciousness. So when I think of that too, when we're okay with ourselves, we're better with everyone else around us too, right? When we are centered in ourselves and at peace within ourselves, our world takes on a peace around us, or we interact with our world a little bit differently. So I'm hoping that what this signifies for the majority of you is at the beginning of this week, although it may start out quietly or peaceful, it should be quite enjoyable. Should be opportunities to maybe connect with yourself and with others in ways that sort of deepen that connection through reflection, contemplation, honesty, all of that sort of stuff, but in a very beneficial and big way, because she is major arcana. So she's not the most um, like she's not going to hit you over the head in a way. You have to kind of take notice. You have to look for her. Is kind of how I feel. You have to sort of subtly slip into the energy of the star and just be at peace and let everything else go on around you while you shine in your own particular individual way. I hope that makes sense. So then the midweek card is Page of Swords. Page of Swords is the investigator, right? To me, the little private eye. Swords is the air element. Also, Aquarius is air element. So there's definitely still that air vibe going on. So that's very much in conjunction with the peacefulness of the star. But because of her Aquarius connection. But the page to me always represents youthfulness, exuberance, a willingness to learn, right? When you see the Page of Swords, it's about intellect and communication. It's about how we communicate or what we're communicating, learning new forms of communication or learning new thoughts or moving forward in new thoughts that are maybe formed from the peacefulness of the star at the beginning of the week. Maybe there was something we learned about ourselves or about people around us that have allowed us to sort of let go of certain things that we no longer need anymore. And we are now creating new thoughts in the midweek after experiencing the peace of the transition that was created. Does that make sense? So to me, when I'm looking at her, she's coming forward, right? We can see her body facing us forward, coming forward with her new ideas, but she's also sort of reflecting back too. We are still in a retrograde. In last week's cards, we saw three different turned away bodies, which made me really sort of understand that are in very much a state of reflection when both Mercury and Venus are in retrograde. How we express our love, how we communicate, all of that is up for revision and reflection right now. So I like when we see the peacefulness of the star because it seems like there's a settling that's happening, an understanding that's taking place, ownership that's maybe taking place at a very private, personal level, but it's affecting our thoughts in a way where we see this Page of Swords emerge, where she's like, okay, I have new ideas about how I view myself, how I see myself, what my life may look like, or what I might be capable of. And the Page of Swords will do further investigation into clearing out the old thoughts and bringing in the new, learning the new, and being excited about that, making it an adventure out of it, so to speak, right? Pages love adventure. They're young, they're up for the challenge, and they're definitely willing to learn and expose themselves, right, in good ways to new ideas, to new ways of communicating that suit them. And with the balance of the star in the beginning, it feels very perfect with the Aquarian season happening right now, okay? And then the third one is the Eight of Cups. Now, this is full-on reflection. Eight of Cups is water, obviously, because it's cups. But the Eight of Cups is about kind of walking away or making the decision to sort of let go of a situation that's no longer serving you. It can be emotions that are no longer serving you. It can be a relationship that's no longer serving you. It can be feelings that are no longer, working for you. To me, the Eight of Cups is like the card. The way I coined the Eight of Cups is it's like taking the higher road. It may not always be the easiest road, but it's the road that sort of needs to be taken, and we know that intuitively. That's sort of why this man is having this conversation with the moon here, right? He's kind of discussing with himself what's the right thing to do here. And there's still, in this particular artwork of this card, there's a craggy rock that he's been on. There's a journey that he's been on. And he's at peace seated here, right? And he's reflecting on what needs to sort of be let go of emotionally so that he can maintain the balance of the Eight of Cups, right? Eights always represent balance. So new thoughts and new perceptions of ourselves or situations, people around us, newfound peace this week should bring us to terms with something not only within our thoughts, but I feel like within our emotions that begins to set us free on a new journey, a new path, right? There's still more path to come, right? There is this rest that takes place here because he is seated. Normally you see it as a person walking away in traditional tarot. I see him, there's a little bit of movement this week, but there might be moments to pause and reflect and really look at what is going on for us, not only in our mental body, but in our emotional body. And what is it that we can sort of not necessarily leave behind, but maybe investigate and change. or investigate. Leave behind would be the Eight of Cups, though. So I don't want to say we're like ditching anything, though. We're just moving on from something that's no longer suited for us. Like, I'm going to use myself for an example. I have fear around being loved and getting hurt by that. This Venus retrograde has been working my soul in a good way, guys. But my Venus is in Pisces, right? And so I get very emotional around this stuff. So don't let my tears and sadness confuse you. It's okay. This is what's supposed to come up during this time in retrograde season. But for me, as I look at these cards, it feels like new discoveries are happening for us. That if we use them in the correct sort of logical, optimistic sort of way, and we ease our way out of the old emotions, the old burdens, the old pains, we can release them. And we can change our trajectory. And we can do that in a peaceful way that brings us maybe a new way of feeling, thinking, being this week that's going to be beneficial to us in the year to come, I feel like, or at least in the week to come. Whoa, look at all that white and sage smoke coming at me. Trying to clean my aura, I guess. So I think that this is going to be a very interesting week for all of you, just because if you're paying close enough attention, this is what I feel like. With these cards here, we have the quietness of the star, the subtlety of the star, we have the investigator of the page, and then we have the contemplation of the Eight of Cups. It's going to be us doing the work. If we're not doing the work, if we're not paying attention, then, we might just stay exactly where we're at, right? But for those of you that are looking at the more subtle signs, settling into that piece, doing the study, checking your thoughts, and then your emotions, there could be quite a transformation for you this week. Or in the weeks to come, is my feeling. And that's the whole point of why we go into retrograde season. And we're in a double retrograde right now with both Mercury and Venus. So it's potent right now. Okay, so now let's get to the Kuan Yin card for the week. What does Kuan Yin want us to know? It is Drink from the Emerald Fountain, card number 7. Now, card number 7 always represents this idea of consciously choosing something, right? And I think that there's a consciousness to the star. There's also a consciousness to the, the intellect of the Page of Swords. And then there's a reflection and a consciousness and an emotional consciousness in the Eight of Cups, right? Where we stop and we go, is this really how I want to be? Is this really where I want to be? Is this how it should feel? All of that is about consciously choosing to look at this stuff, to get deep within oneself, and to drink from sort of this emerald fountain. To me, the idea of an emerald fountain, green represents the 4th chakra, the heart chakra, right? And to me, emerald fountain makes me think of like filling ourselves up with that healing, that emotional sort of well-being. I love that she has many hands out there, Kuan Yin, right? And they're sort of dripping with all of the emerald water over them. In other words, we can be still maybe spinning a lot of plates while doing this work. That's sort of the feeling that I'm getting from her as I'm looking at her, yet she stays centered and at peace, even if the thoughts as they change, or even if the emotions as we let go of them this week, she's still got the peace and the centeredness that is represented in the star. Even if we're busy with, say, the kids and work and whatever else, that's sort of the multiple hands. We're able, from this centered place, we're able to kind of take on all of these changes in a very healing way, is my feeling. But that number 7, we need to consciously choose to do this work. So I'm going to read it to you really quick. Drink from the Emerald Fountain. The divine feminine is encouraging of the awakening and empowerment of all living beings. When a sincere seeker is trying to find the way through, there is much help sent. It makes sense to be open to receive it. Indeed, to step forward and drink from the Emerald Fountain, which is the unconditionally loving heart chakra of Kuan Yin. Allow yourself to be nourished by the power and love of the Divine Mother flowing to you now. There is nothing to be gained in making life more difficult than it needs to be, other than unnecessary stress or perhaps the learning that it isn't as much fun this way. At this time, you are going through a time of important spiritual growth. Your higher self has set a spiritual schedule and is planning on being at a certain destination in time and space to set events in motion to benefit from synchronicities and to be able to live out its divine purpose in the physical world too. Your soul is very resourceful and is calling for divine help in getting to its destination on time. One moment, guys. Uh, and that's kind of like the work that I see in the star and the page, the investigativeness of being open to new thoughts and new ideas and new ways of communicating and releasing of old emotions this week is to allow us to reach where we need to be, which is probably so far beyond where we ever thought we would get to, because it's really our soul that's sending us there. Does that make sense? Okay. Now I can't read because of the tears. Hold on one second. When you allow yourself to be helped, great reserves of support become available to you. Your soul is strengthened and nourished by the loving heart of the Divine Mother. As it is filled with love from the Emerald Fountain, it can flow through you and you feel happier, more balanced, content, and peaceful. The more you allow yourself to be assisted, the more you will feel detached and trusting. You will find fewer problems actually arise from you. And when they do, you might be surprised just how swiftly they are resolved. That's the letting go of the Eight of Cups, guys. And the swiftness of the swords, too, the Page of Swords. Sometimes with only a small amount of effort on your part. This is the benefit of allowing divine forces greater than us individually to nourish and support us. We allow the loving power much greater than our individual consciousness to do the heavy lifting, and our soul path unfolds more joyfully and more quickly. It is a doing without doing. You are at a point on your path where you need support to rise up and break through. You are invited to drink from the Emerald Fountain, to accept the love pouring endlessly from the heart chakra of the Divine Mother, as it would greatly benefit you, even in ways that you are not as yet part of your conscious awareness. May your spiritual thirst be sated, and may you be supported and assisted by the Mother Divine. A healing at the Emerald Fountain. Laying or sitting comfortably, close your eyes and let your breathing relax. Imagine that before you there's a sacred place filled with emerald green light and you hear a fountain. It sounds like a waterfall, like a beautiful woman singing sweetly, like a crystal bowl being sounded and birds singing. You see or sense the fountain and allow yourself to approach it, realizing you are in a very special place of great power and love, the heart chakra of the Divine Mother Kuan Yin. Allow yourself to bathe and drink in this fountain with respect and gratitude. Let yourself absorb it. Feel any emotion releasing and simply be. When you are ready, return to your breath and your body, and you may like to finish your healing with the prayer below. As you move through your following days and weeks, be open to saying yes, to allowing life to be easier, to letting go of that which feels heavy or obstructing, and to having utter faith in your process. Prayer at the Emerald Fountain. Dear Kuan Yin, beloved goddess that loves me unconditionally, you have my blessing and permission to assist me with divine energy that is for my highest good in all areas of my life now. I kneel at your sacred fountain of love, light, and divine assistance now. I drink from your heart that which fills my soul. I gratefully receive your unconditionally loving help. Om Mani Padme Hum. Whew, guys. And let's look to the grounding stone and see what the grounding stone is for the week. These readings are rocking my world. And the grounding stone is on Moonstone, and the word is honor. And when I think about honor, you can't really see it because of the sunlight. Sorry. Let me put the blinds down. Maybe that will help. When you think about the word honor, I think that where this associates, or where this principle associates in our world, or in our week this week, is honoring the quieter parts of who we are in the star, honoring the ability and the capacity that the Page of Swords would have to do the investigations, to be exuberant, to be excited, to, it said in the drinking from the Emerald Fountain, to like sort of turn towards the healing, choose it, ask for it, ask for the assistance, and be willing to then let it go, right? The honoring in the Eight of Cups is the gentleman seated, like reflecting back on situations that maybe emotionally were heavy or burdensome. And now he's willing, through the drinking of the Emerald Fountain, right, to consciously choose to let that go and move towards the Eight of Cups, which is taking that new road. Honoring the silent, sweeter, more spiritual sound of our soul that's within us, that is the drink from the Emerald Fountain is talking about, that there's plans that our soul has that we need to be willing to open ourselves up to and request the assistance, the spiritual assistance, for us to turn to that path, or to continue on that path. And remember, we have had cards in this deck that have told us even sometimes the day-to-day life simple things that don't seem very spiritual actually are all part of that mosaic that create who we are and evolve us in a way. So don't be deterred if you find yourself busy with life things while you're doing this, but try and honor those, moments of new thought, new emotion, reflection, peace within yourself this week, and give that to yourself. And when you honor yourself in that way, you're ultimately honoring the consciousness and the collectiveness of all of us, because we are interconnected. We all share a planet. We share the act of being human, right? The experience of being human, whether we're from a different culture or color or sexuality or gender, we're all collectively sharing like the experience, right? So when we're able to honor ourselves, we're also in a way honoring others. It's similar to that word namaste, like the God in you sees the God in me, sees the God in you, right? And so doing that for yourself, in essence, you're also doing that for others too. It's like the ripple in the pond, I guess, is my feeling. That's the visual I'm getting. You throw a rock into a pond, a pebble into a pond, and you watch it ripple out into the world. So we have to start somewhere. So start within ourselves and allow that ripple to take effect within ourselves and see where it can take it out into the world. Does that make sense? I hope it does. If you guys enjoyed this reading, please share it out. Please hit the thumbs up button. Leave me a question or a comment. I do appreciate each and every one of them, and I do read them all. I will respond to them if you want me to. I'm happy to. And if you're interested in a private reading, you can certainly reach me through the information in the pull-down menu on the daily videos. And please, just come back and watch more videos. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful week, you guys. You should be powerful. Bye-bye.